Thanks all for joining the webinar today. We are going to be covering the topic of appraisal vision, which is primarily about labeling, auto-labeling images in an appraisal process. And there's a whole lot more about image recognition. And that's what Danny is going to talk to us about today. And just a quick intro on Danny. He is kind of an industry veteran. He has spent 35 years or more by now in the United States real estate and data analytics industry. He has worked on various AVMs and portfolio evaluation, etc. And all the big companies that he has been at, including First American, LPS, CoreLogic, and Digital Map. And we are happy to have Danny on board at Propmix, and we've been working together in bringing appraisal solutions to the appraisal market. And he has some really extensive knowledge in the space, having worked with many appraisers and AMCs in the industry. So this session today should take us about like 45 minutes to kind of cover, and then we'll get into Q&A towards the end. But during the session, if you all have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat box on your Zoom screen, and we will come to those questions either at the end of the session or right in the middle. Might be able to drop that into Danny's chat window there for him to kind of respond. Yeah. So with that, let me hand this over to Danny. Danny, please.
Thanks, Mesh. I appreciate it. Good afternoon and potentially good morning, everyone. To Mesh's point about if there was any questions, you could either enter the questions in the chat box, or there's even a Q&A section within the webinar, so you probably would be able to drop your questions there as well. But again, I do appreciate it. My name is Danny Mancino. As Mesh mentioned, I've been around for, I hate to say it, far too long. I've been around this industry for more than 35 years in total. So started out with a company that through various acquisitions and mergers and stuff, you would recognize that company as CoreLogic today. And then I moved on to another company, and again, through various acquisitions and so on, the company would now be known as Black Knight. So I've got a lot of experience with a lot of the different companies in the space, and worked with customers and companies from all walks of the industry. So from real estate to appraiser, all the way on up to government and lenders, and also I've got a pretty good feel for the industry. One of the things that I learned along the way was there's a lot of needs in the appraisal arena that are not necessarily available from other providers, and may not necessarily be readily available from many sources, but we do our best to bring everything that we possibly can to our products and solutions to make the job for the appraiser as easy as possible. So we'll be talking today about Market Conditions Advisor, but primarily today will be about the appraisal vision section or portion of our solution. I'll give you a brief overview of Propmix and what sets us apart. So the first couple of items that you may notice here is 3,100 plus assessor counties, 3,000 plus foreclosure counties, 154 million properties or so in our database. That is more or less the industry standard. There's a lot of companies that have that mark already met. But the thing that really sets us apart is our MLS relationships, our imagery, the insights and analytics that we generate from the data that we collect for more than 25,000 zip codes. And then there's appraisal vision image recognition technology. That's something that we do that we believe it may not be an industry first, but it is setting the standard in the space. So So Market Conditions Advisor, as I mentioned, it's a nationwide solution for appraisers to find comps, listing data, incorporate all of that information into their appraisal forms. And we've got API access as well if somebody wants to just directly hit the data. It's an all-in-one solution to research, select, download, and print and export the data and the insights. Lots of different export capabilities for form software, Mismo. We also offer a PDF report, XML, CSV. Built in would be a 1004 MC and local insights and analytics, and that will be a topic for a future webinar that will be coming up very soon. We give you the ability to auto-populate data from public record, and we also bring in listing images. So highlighted there is the Appraisal Vision for automated image labeling, image organization, and appraisal quality review. And that's what we'll be talking about today. So with that, why don't we jump right in? So Appraisal Vision is a proprietary solution developed by PropMix, combining artificial intelligence and computer vision, and it allows us to identify real estate images, real estate specific images. There are companies out there that identify images, but they're kind of all over the place. You could look at an image and it'll find a lot of different things that don't necessarily pertain to real estate. Our engine is built specifically for the real estate space. So I'll give you an example. If I take a picture of my dog and he's white and I put it into the system will identify that as laundry room because it'll see it as a towel, and then it'll generate something specific to the home. So everything is real estate specific. We also have the ability to unlock information from within those images. So what we do is we're looking for objects and elements in the images to give us the ability to pull information from those images. So we'll get into that a little bit as well as we move forward. So how does it work? So Appraisal Vision is a robot, a computer vision robot built using deep learning. We've got, as I mentioned, 400 million plus images. That's greater than 22 terabytes of real estate images that we've amassed over several years. So as you see the images there on the screen, one of them is the front of a home, one of them is a living room, one of them is a kitchen. All of those images, as they are loaded into our system, they're being looked at, they're being identified as a room type or a view of some sort, and then classified as such. So when we throw the images into our system, we're going to classify it as, types of images such as the front of a structure, a living room, a kitchen, a bedroom, a bathroom. And we have greater than a 90% accuracy in identifying and properly labeling images. The better the image, the more information in the image, the better quality the label will be. If the image is dark or fuzzy or something like that, of course, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But as you'll notice that the way that all of this works, and as I go through this, I'll explain that there's APIs and methods that are used behind the scenes. So you'll notice in the first image, the home, we label it as a frontage. We give it a confidence score. Same thing with the living room photo and then the kitchen photo. The kitchen photo, you'll notice the confidence is a little bit lower because it's a little bit of a further out shot, kind of a fisheye view. So I wanted to give you that understanding that while the image quality is okay, the view is a little bit skewed, but we're still identifying it as it should be. And the way that we go about that is we're looking for objects within the photo to identify those images. So the objects with the front of the home, you'll notice there's a couple couple of tags here. So it's looking, it sees exterior brick, stucco, vinyl, driveway, and so on. Therefore, front of the home. Object here, sofa. That's all it really needed. So it sees a sofa and it knows that it's a living room. Kitchen's a little bit different. You notice that it's a little bit further out, but it is identifying a refrigerator, a breakfast counter, a side-by-side refrigerator, and all of the different the different objects and labels that you notice within. So that's a big part of how we go about identifying those objects. So some of the key features that Appraisal Vision offers is the ability to automatically label the images as they're passing through into your appraisal report. So we'll identify those labels as I just showed you, and then it also gives you the ability to compare the images for the listing itself, or any one of the comps, or the subject property, or any one of the comps. And if the property was previously listed, you could actually look at the listings side by side for that same property. And we also give you, there's a solution that we also offer that will provide a QC review capability, and we'll get into that as well as we move along. So labeling the images for your appraisal, when an MCA report is run, it's a simple program. Enter an address and basic criteria with a radius and a time frame. It'll bring back all of your comps. You'll select your comps, and then when you go forward to generate the report, it's looking at all the images, labeling them. So if the property, as I mentioned, was previously listed, we'll have those listing images. If it was not previously listed, you will even have the ability to upload your own photos. And then you could also override the labels for those photos as they, if it's misidentified or something of that sort. So to give you an idea here, this is same property that I pulled those images out from before, generated the labels for them. There's an option to override. So you have the ability, you notice that this property here was labeled as the front of a structure. You can actually come in here and then say, nope, that is the deck. You have the ability also to upload your photos. So if a photo that you upload into this, if it was a property, my property has never been listed on the MLS. So if you were doing an appraisal on my property in particular, you would have to upload photos into the application in order for the image generation or the image labeling to take place. Or you'd have an option to upload a batch of photos into the application. So you'll notice here, if you wanted to upload images, you can click on the Upload Image button, select as many images as you want to put into the order. Once you've uploaded them, the image labeling process will start. And any of the new images that we've uploaded into the application will be identified clearly as uploaded with an asterisk. So at least you would know that this was part of the listing and this was something that was uploaded manually by the user. And you'll notice as we're passing through here, all of the images that we've labeled with Appraisal Vision, they'll move through. This image that you see here on the left is actually coming right out of a PDF report. So all the images are labeled. They're identified as uploaded with the asterisk. And then the XML on the right is actually the MISMO export that would come out when the order was complete. And when you send it into your appraisal report, the image labels would pass through along with all of the other information. So that's the basic overview of the capabilities. But I wanted to also give you some of the advanced capabilities that you'd be able to do within MCA using the appraisal vision technology. So side by side, you have the ability to look at a property that may have been flipped. Let's say you've got a property like this that it was listed in 2019, but it was previously listed in 2018 as well. We identify that property as a flip. So you have the ability to look at the previous listing, all of the details on the listing, but more importantly, you have the ability to look at the photos from the prior listing as compared to the current listing. So it gives you that clear understanding as to why was it listed for $231,000 a year earlier and then sold for nearly twice as much. So that the image capabilities give you the ability to look right into the home very easily, very clearly. And one of the other things that we're going to be bringing into the application in the very near future is the ability to look at, in this same capability, the same rooms side by side. So if they're or the same view side by side. So if they're all of the exterior photos for the prior listing, alongside all of the exterior photos for the current listing, and then the same would apply for bedroom photos and kitchen photos and the like. So an example of that is a version of MCA that we're currently building out, where you'll actually have that exact same capability looking at the comps visually. So your subject comp would be here on the left. All of the images for the exterior of the home, bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and so on, would then be viewable side by side with the comps themselves. So maybe the data looks like the comp is supported, but having the ability to look at the images of the comps compared to the subject side by side is going to be very important as well. So that capability of looking at prior listings side by side with the current listing, or looking at comparable listings side by side with your current subject property, is an advancement in the industry that we don't believe anybody's got today. So I mentioned earlier that there's review capabilities as well. With the appraisal review capabilities, because we have the capability of looking at the images, we also built technology to enable us to extract images from appraisal reports. So extracting the images from the appraisal reports gives us the ability to, using GSE requirements, or maybe your bank or your lender has specific requirements for each and every one of their appraisals. We can build a rules engine that will look for specifics within the appraisal itself to improve the quality control capabilities of your reviews. So this is just a kind of an overview of how you would, or the review appraiser would have the ability to upload an order into our system, and then ultimately the system will extract the data out of that, or extract the images out of that PDF that was uploaded. It'll look at the photos of the property, So typically the standard photos are going to be the house itself, the front of the home, the street view, various living area, elements within the home, kitchen, bedrooms, bathrooms, and the like. And it'll also extract all of the frontage of the comp photos, and as well as any of the maps, the flood maps, the appraiser's license, any of the attachments that would be in the report. Maybe it's the sketch or, whatever that might be. We're extracting all of that to verify that all of that information is there. So what we do when we run it through our system to validate, we're bringing the information back as XML, JSON XML. And here's a visual representation of the XML that you see on the left. So we're validating that first picture is the front of the home. It's looking for a backyard picture. It doesn't see one. It's looking for a kitchen picture. It found that. Living room, and so on. So we have that capability to then marry all of this to standard review processes where you're looking at the data itself, making sure that all of the information in the XML or the MISMO data that's coming out of the appraisal report, we can verify the data as well as the imagery, which is something that that can't be done today by any of the other providers. So that is I know that I ran through that pretty quick, but I just wanted to also, give you an opportunity, give you some time to ask questions, and and we'd have a little bit extra time to really go over any of the questions that may be asked. But I wanted to also provide you with a little bit of flavor as to what else we have that's coming in MCA in the very near future. We will be bringing into MCA regression-based value adjustments. We're adding additional filtering capabilities into our results, as well as our searches, adding in distressed and foreclosure analytics, some public record information, the transaction history, mortgage history, all of that information would be available. And the forms integration, we're adding more forms providers into our system as we move forward. So, like I said, I know that I ran through it pretty quick, but I wanted to provide enough time for us to cover any questions that might be out there. And if there's anything that I would be needed to go back and maybe take another look at, if somebody wanted me to run a very brief demo, I'm happy to oblige because we do have a little bit extra time. So are there any questions?
Danny, there are a couple of questions that I've received here.
Okay.
I'm going to let you address some of these. Let me see. I'll just go through them in no particular order, just as they came. I'm not putting my mind on organizing these. So
okay, that's fine.
I'll let you respond to these as they're coming. So the first one is, does your software identify all room types? I guess that would be, I mean, you just showed living room, bathroom, and some examples. Maybe what other room types you cover?
Yeah, so it'll identify kitchen, bathrooms, bedrooms, game rooms, great rooms, family rooms. We're working on training for attics and I guess like Florida rooms and stuff like that. But the standard room types that would be required are the ones that we're focusing on now. And unless you're in a really, really big home, galleries and stuff like that, I don't know. I do believe we also do theaters. So if there's theater seating and a screen, we're able to identify that. And And then as far as exterior, it's front of the home, back of the home. We could identify a pool area, and street view is being identified as we speak. That's being fine-tuned. It's a little bit difficult depending on where you're at, because if you're in a rural area, there may not be cars on the side of the road. Whereas if you're in Brooklyn, New York, all you have is cars on either side of the street, because that's parking. So it's being fine-tuned and worked on as we speak. Thank you. Anything else?
Okay. Yeah. One more question here. How long does it take for each picture to be categorized or labeled? Yeah.
In most cases, it's a matter of seconds. I mean, and in some cases, it's split seconds. A lot of it will depend on the quality or the resolution of the photo. Sometimes it's just a matter of the transmittal of the photo itself, and then the data back. But usually, it's pretty darn quick. So within an appraisal itself, maybe if you've had 30 photos in an appraisal or in an order, we'd be able to label all 30 photos probably in less than 30 seconds.
Yep. Thanks, Danny.
Okay.
Another question here. Can you identify properties from the images that are in disrepair, or I guess, or like a condition identification, I guess?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. We're actually working on that as we speak. We've had a lot of people ask us about specifics around broken windows, missing shingles, poor landscaping. So we are working towards really dialing that in to make sure that if a window is broken, we're identifying that correctly, as opposed to possibly the branch of a tree that's reflecting in a window that might look like a crack. Those are the little things that could give you a false positive, shadows and things along those lines. So we're working to make sure that we have all of those possibilities covered. Some things are never going to get as high a confidence score as others for that reason, shadows and exterior and things like that. But if you're inside the home, it might be a little bit easier if you see a broken window to clearly identify that as a broken window, as opposed to from the outside with a shadow or, time of day, the way the light is reflecting and stuff like that. So, but we're working on it, and it's getting close. Thank you.
All right. Another question here is about, are you able to find humans in a photograph?
Yes, we have that capability where we're making sure that the human in the photo isn't being identified as a picture of somebody on a wall, or a poster of Shaquille O'Neal on a wall or something like that. What we're really making sure is that if there is a human in the picture, that it's not being falsely identified as what might be just a picture on a wall or a picture on a table. But we have that capability that's saying, yes, there's a human in the picture. It's really just a matter of making sure that it is truly a human and not an object that looks like a human. I mean, it could be, my son has one of those giant cardboard cutouts of a current president of ours. So, that could be identified also as a human.
Yep.
Anything else?
Practical problems that we have been kind of running into.
Yeah.
And another one here, I think this one will be a related question. can you identify types of objects? I think the examples um, they have provided here is granite countertops, a type of refrigerator, etc.
Yes, that's getting better and better as we speak. You know, the granite countertops and the Formica surfaces and stuff. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to 100% dial in, but we can identify specific types of countertops, specific types of refrigerators and various appliances. Now, the question will be, will we be able to identify brands and things like that as time passes? Perhaps we've got resources that we might be able to compare what we see to other types of imagery to say, is that a Viking stove versus a, versus a KitchenAid or something like that. But identifying objects is important for us and for our database and all, extracting information from those images. Therefore, extracting object information from those images is important. So the short answer is yes. The long answer is it's getting better and better as we speak, and more minute and fine details are being developed and worked on as currently.
Cool. Very good, Danny. I think that's about the questions I've received here so far. Oh, whoops. Hang on one sec. There's one more question. Okay. Here's another one. Do you have an API for this? I'm not sure which one they're referring to, but then do you have an API for this? I think we can cover any APIs we have.
Yes. So let me for a split second just stop sharing as I switch over to show an application here.
So while Danny is pulling this up, I know we do have APIs for both the basic identification of properties as well as that appraisal QC example that Danny was showing earlier. So we do have APIs for both. I guess, Danny, you're going to kind of show that, trying to show it's working right now. That's good.
That's what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah. So that's a good question. See if you're able to kind of pull up anything to show.
Okay. So the question about whether or not there's an API that'll allow that, yes, the answer is we do have an API. So you'll see here we have the ability to either take a URL through our system. So if it's coming from within your environment, you'd be able to pass a URL through to us, and you also, there's another version where you'd be able to actually pass an image itself through us. So let me see if I have that one. So here is here's a way, if you looked in the system and pulled up an image, you send it over to us, and it'll shoot back the information that it sees in that image. Very simple. So you could either send us through an actual file, a JPEG image, or you could send us a URL, and we'd be able to identify the photo either way. So we've got all of those bases covered for you.
Just want to point out one thing though here. What Danny is showing there is telling you that the bedroom, we have a 99% confidence that that's the bedroom, as opposed to kitchen stairs and others are very low confidence. So.
Yeah, I believe this was the picture.
Yeah.
So even though, I mean, I saved it as a bedroom, So I knew what it was, but it's not looking at the label or anything like that. I just, I'm using that as an example. So this way, as we pull it up. So you could send over images as files, as URLs. So we've got all the bases covered. Or you could use an application, because we even have an application that you'd be able to upload photos into a system, which we've got here. So there's any number of ways that we'd be able to return the labels for photos, as well as, of course, through MCA itself. Any other questions?
No, nothing else here, Danny. That's all the questions.
Okay.
Here. All right, great. Anything else you want to cover, Danny? Otherwise, I think that's a wrap.
I don't believe there's anything else that I have to cover right now, other than the fact that the next webinar that we'll be doing will be covering insights and analytics. The insights and analytics will also include the 1004 market conditions, the 1004 MC inventory analysis. We generate that automatically based on the results when the searches run. We've got an API for that. We've got it's available from within MCA, of course. And the insights and analytics, same thing. We have APIs to bring back all of the insights and the analytics, or you can get them right through our MCA application. So lots of interesting stuff coming, and we'll be exhibiting at the Valuation Expo. So if you'll be attending that, we'll be able to sit down and show you a demo of all of our services, as well as some of those new features that I had mentioned earlier that we'll be adding into the application. Those will be on display at the conference coming up next month. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can reach me at danny@propmix.io. Or if you are an existing customer and you needed support, you can feel free to reach out to support at propmix.io, and we'll be happy to help you. And if anybody wants to get a one-on-one demonstration of all of our products end to end, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, thanks for your time today, and we look forward to the next webinar. Thanks.
Yep, thank you. Thank you all for joining and making some time on Friday afternoon to join us. Appreciate it very much, and stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.